Halloween, everyone! Wait, this is the wrong shirt. Hold on. Much better. And for this Halloween season, I'm going to be making one of the classic Hocus Pocus characters. I went with Winifred because while my name is Sarah, Winifred is more of a recognizable character. And my animal assistant, who's currently taking a nap, is going to be Dani. Before I start any of that, it is basically the last summer-like weather of the year, so I'm going to take Emmie for a quick jet ski ride. I have a large box of mostly thrifted materials. I have this Hocus Pocus themed material for lining. I have a thrifted shower curtain for the purple part of the dress. I have green fabric. More green fabric. I think this is a tablecloth. I also have this belt for the clasp part. Where's my tape measure?
Okay, let's get started on this 100% thrift flip Halloween costume. I started by using my tape measure as a giant compass to draw a pie slice for the skirt. And if I sound sick, that's a spoiler for later. I cut this pie slice out except for a bite for my waist. I cut one in half and used that as a guide to cut the center panel from the purple shower curtain.
What are my scissors? This is ridiculous.
I'm not worrying about the hem right now, I'll fix that later. I did add as many green Godet panels or extra triangles to the skirt as I could after cutting the bodice. I pinned these together and stitched.
Probably would have helped if I had threaded it.
After actually stitching these, I also serged them to make a nice easy seam finishing. I roughly drafted the bodice on my dress form and cut it out of some horribly clashing pink polka dot sheet. Also, look at my Halloween nails! I was trying very hard to remember that I didn't add seam allowance while cutting it out, but the fit of this dress was loose, so it didn't have to be too accurate. For the lining, I used the Hocus Pocus print that I got last fall. My new scissors are also having issues. I just can't win. One of my favorite Halloween traditions is carving pumpkins. Or maybe it's all the candy. Or dressing up? I'm not sure I could pick just one. What's your favorite Halloween tradition? My old apartment had Dogoween because none of us had kids, but we all had dogs, so we'd take the dogs trick-or-treating and everyone would hand out dog treats. And that was definitely a highlight of Emmie's time there.
This time I'm going to try threading the machine before I try and stitch with it.
I hear that helps. I stitched the bodice darts and the bodice pieces together. I gave those seams a good pressing before pinning the lining and the fashion fabric together at the neck. If this were going to be a sleeveless bodice, I'd assemble it in a different order, but since the sleeves are covered by a cloak, I didn't really worry about clean finishes. I clipped my curves and understitched to keep the non-matching lining from peeking out. If you're keeping track of this is like the 4th time that I've lost my tools. I ran a stitch with a long length of stitch along the top of the skirt to gather it down to fit the bodice.
Tease me about my plant again.
It's alive. I'm not used to the version of Sarah where things actually live.
Ouch.
I pinned a zipper to the back opening. Ideally, you wouldn't pin the lining too, but I was going for efficiency. I always hand baste zippers in to prevent them from shifting under the machine foot. It's especially important for invisible zippers. I needed the top of the sleeve to be slightly wider since this is not a matching pattern. I've had this spiderweb fabric in my stash for like 6 years, and it was perfect. It has a little bit of stretch to it, so I used a zigzag stitch to close the sleeves. I definitely could have attached it more neatly to the bodice, but this is fine. No one has to know. Except for you.
I finished the dress part of this costume, except for the hem at the bottom, which is just gonna have to happen later.
I drafted the cloak on my dress form as not an exact copy, but more inspired by the movie. I wish I had been able to find green velvet curtains at the thrift store, but that was a little bit too specific for my little thrift store.
This is really bad at being washable screen printing ink, so I'm gonna use it to paint this because I'm not gonna wash it. Hey Emmie, maybe we could not step on the wet paint this time?
That didn't last long. I painted all sorts of witchy symbols on this, including some definitely wrong universe ones, but hey, it's my design. I felt like that Halloween episode of Buffy where they paint a random witchy symbol on the floor and accidentally summon the demon of fear. I was just painting random shapes.
And so far, no one has stepped on it. Right, Emmie? Really? Emmie, We talked about this. You were not going to step on this wet paint this time. Seems to have made it through the night without anyone else stepping on it. Emmie. I painted everything I could on a flat surface yesterday, so today I'm going to sew it up and then do some more painting on the 3D part.
I am such a klutz, and it doesn't really show so much in this video right now, but it will in a bit.
That kind of hurt.
I even the hem out a bit. A pinless hem on a curve? Sure, why not?
Coat is as done as it can be for now. The next step would be to lay this out on the ground and paint it, but then I can't do anything else because this is my only workspace. So I'm going to start on the sleeves, and then when those are done, then I'm going to paint the rest of the coat. Given the amount of fabric I have left, I'm not going to be able to do screen accurate sleeves. However, for volume and drama, I have drawn 2 circles here, this big one and the little one for the sleeve. So that's going to be the lower sleeve, and I'm going to cut the upper sleeve out of this part.
I cut 2 circles, but not lined up, so the bottom sleeve has way more drama. I rarely do screen accurate costumes, except for the last one. I just have more fun when I'm doing my own thing. I cut the same basic shape from this old iridescent purple shawl I had, and the light green fabric. I serged the edges of these to hem them. I left the fabric unironed as a design choice. She probably didn't have time to iron while buried under there. I painted a 2-headed snake on the back of the cloak. I also wanted to say I know she has an orange petticoat, but you'll see why I couldn't do that a little bit later. I also had to skip her witchy striped tights because this project was about recycling and not buying new single-use plastic. I found a dog costume contest near me this weekend, and I am debating going. It'd be a lot of fun, but I'm actually a very shy person, so I'm not sure how much I want to talk to people while wearing a ridiculous costume.
Good morning. I didn't do any sort of intro yesterday on what I was doing because I had completely lost my voice. So what I did do was finish painting.
I got a little silly here. Okay, well at least it's dry paint this time. Olympic rings, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is the charm symbol. So I'm going to paint the sleeves today, and then I will be done with painting and ready for assembly. It's a good thing I blocked the entrance to this room last night while the paint was still wet. Yep.
I painted more snakes on the lower sleeves. And I painted some tulip-like flowers on the upper sleeves. I made a little standing collar and attached it to the neck area. I top-stitched the seam allowance to encourage it to stand up on its own so I wouldn't have to add wire.
Emmie wanted to be involved in what I'm doing, so now she's modeling my coat. It's a nice stand-up collar. What a lovely model, Emmie.
Good morning. I have thoroughly lost my voice again, but I'm gonna stop talking and go ahead and work on the sleeves. Also, I've painted my nails candy cane. Candy cane, oh my gosh. I painted my nails candy corn. And to see my full opinion on candy corn, watch this video. I also made a candy cane dress last year.
I stitched the seam on the upper sleeve.
On the other hand, I could give a belly rub on top of my sleeves. Are you a happy girl, Emmie?
To assemble the lower sleeve, I layered the light green, purple, and painted green parts, and basted them together here. Someone is having a good time. I stitched that to the upper sleeve, pleating it to fit. I was going for dramatic sleeves. What do you think of them? I pinned the sleeve into the arm side and gathered the top to fit. I finally decided I couldn't avoid hemming it any longer, so I leveled the hem, serged it, and stitched the hem. I also added the gold cord that I forgot for the center bodice. I took apart that belt that I had thrifted and opened the center just enough for it to be a clasp to close the whole thing. Ghost tea to help me get in the spirit. Get it? The spirit? And hand stitched around the whole thing so it wouldn't go anywhere. Also, that big missing gem is just off to the side, not to worry. I am testing an assortment of nail polishes to make these turn like a sickly poison green. When I finish that, the whole costume will be done.
And it'll be time for Emmie's.
This season is probably not the best season to find out that this is the entirety of orange fabric that I own. I'm gonna make the best of it that I can. I think I can fit a cape on here and then still have a little bit left over for the hat trim. I added the last of the orange to the hat to make a wire channel. To see tiny hat making in more detail, see my candy corn dress video. Since I didn't have any orange fabric left to make trim with, I painted the details on the skirt and cape. So, Emmie is allergic to mold, and all these leaves are definitely moldy, so it's going to be an impromptu bath time. Yeah, you heard me. After a quick torture session, bath, we got back to working on finishing Emmie's costume. And moping. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and follow along for more of my sewing adventures. I have something really fun planned for Christmas that I can't wait to get started on. Do you get a new toy for being a very good girl? Nope. Ow. Smells like children. I'm hiding from a real school bus now. Probably full of children. Totally fine. My neighbor just drove by and I look like this.